If you've been creating content for your small business's online presence and it's not really moving the needle in any way, this video is for you. First, I want to give you a simple reminder. If you are in fact a business owner, meaning you offer something that is kind of outside of social media altogether, then you absolutely have different goals for your online presence than a content creator. And no, being a business owner and a content creator are not the same things when it comes to engaging and having an online presence with some sort of offer. As a business owner, I feel like 9 times out of 10, we go to the online space and we initially approach the online space as a content creator. And most business owners stay within this trap of kind of approaching it this way, when this is absolutely the opposite way you should be going about it if you in fact are a business owner and want to approach this online space as one, meaning you don't want to get sponsorships, you don't want to create content based on another brand's offer, and you certainly do not want to rely on getting monetized and making money from ads. So if all of those things has never been a desire for you, you've never loved the idea of trying to gain traffic, to gain traction of who you simply are as a person, and then you have a business kind of associated with you, but it's mainly you making content to get high reach, high visibility, and eventually become monetized in some way and get sponsorships. This is not who I'm speaking to, okay? I'm speaking to the business owners who are passionately creating offers based on something they are already doing, whether it's local or they have always been online, but they are offering something of value that is outside and disconnected from social media itself. So there is kind of a huge element here that I want to touch on first. And it's this concept of high reach, high visibility, and building trust. There are some people out there with businesses or they're content creators that have both. And despite what their approach was and how they got there, and maybe they didn't really mean to get there, short form content is the leader when it comes to high reach, high visibility. But it doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be the easiest way for you to build trust based on what you have to offer. I think as businesses and business owners, we are very much wrapped up in the solution that we offer and the problem that we solve. And this is actually a good thing. And a lot of the times with social media, I think the content and the trends and the constant battle and challenge to keep up allows us to kind of dim away and diffuse away from the problem and the solution that we offer because we're trying to get high reach on social media. What really is the motivation behind you posting on social media other than gaining likes, gaining traction, gaining engagement, and hopefully growing a community? That really is the baseline of social media. But when it comes to long form content, you have the ability to actually stay very much connected to the problem and solution that I just mentioned. As a life coach, for instance, you solve a big problem, right? Maybe lack of clarity, lack of purpose. You basically help people find that. And when you think about this big, complex problem and solution, it's a little bit hard to think about short form content being your one driver of traffic. Why? Because there is way too much to speak on and way too much to get deep into to really build a trusting connection with an audience when it comes to just short form content. This is why I love long form content. I actually really have stopped doing short form content. Short form content is really meant for entertainment and getting reach and getting visibility and really growing from that point of view. You have to really resonate with somebody in a short amount of time to then gain the traction of follows, likes, comments, and what have you. With long form content, you can dive very deep into the solution you provide, and you can also do so by being yourself, storytelling, and really hitting home why your solution is the best solution. Now comes the problem of how we actually move the needle with our content. And what I suggest is actually reverse engineering your content from your offer. So if you are having trouble figuring out what to offer in the online space, I have a whole playlist called Create Your Online Offer, I believe it's called, if you are interested in learning how to actually create your online offer. But to round it up in kind of one sentence, your offer should be directly aligned with your goal for your online presence. So if your goal is to have an income online, your offer has to be associated with more income, whether it's a workshop, an ebook, a digital product of some sort, a course, a membership, etc. Now, this doesn't necessarily mean that this is where it ends. You could have a lead magnet as another offer that actually leads people to your main offer, which is paid. That way, you're actually growing an email list at the same time that you could potentially be getting paid as well. This is all dependent on your goal. If you want to grow your email list and you want to make income, that is probably the best solution for that. So now that we know your offer as an example, we can now build a content strategy backwards from that. Let's use the example of building an email list and having a new income stream as your offer and as your goal. The best approach would be to constantly lead people to your free resource, your free lead magnet that is the mechanism that grows your email list. Why? Well, because most people who are going to engage with your free resource and who will willingly give you their email, they're probably okay with hearing from you and hearing about the other things that you offer. So you're gaining an email list from providing value. This free resource really does need to provide value. That is probably another very important thing to mention here. And because you provide value in exchange, they say, okay, yes, you can have my email. So you have to kind of respect that exchange and also offer more value because you are grateful for that exchange and you want to offer them even more. This is why your email strategy can also have to do with your content strategy, because it's basically one level closer to you, but maybe it offers a little bit more insight into your offers. There's a lot more conversation around your offers because your content should still be providing value just like your free resources. Now, there are so many ways to build a content strategy that leads people to an offer. But the best way, in my opinion, is by understanding the problems and the solution, or solutions plural, that your offer solves, and understanding the buyer's journey and the stages associated with somebody buying a product or buying from you. You want to align both of these things, and it can get very, very complex. But this is the very reason why educating isn't really enough in the online space if it's not connected to your business's solution. When I was building my wellness business, an herbal product business back in 2020, all I was doing was educating people on the ingredients of my products, why I use the ingredients, what season they're associated with, growing them seasonally, all of that. And I had nothing to offer them other than the product. But when I decided to not do products anymore, I was basically a blogger who simply just blogged and blogged and blogged and didn't have anything to lead them to that was my own. You could say I was treating my business like a content creator would, and it's basically exactly why it flopped. So educating and just creating content is never enough. This is the honest truth, and please take it from me, somebody who did this for like 3 years. Just creating to create, to build trust is not enough if you're not leading them to something that is associated with your goal. If you're a business owner, you need to have goals, okay? You can't just be approaching everything as a business without having goals and reaching for goals. So always make sure that your content is leading people to your offer, which is deeply, deeply interwoven with your goals. So another reason why your content might not be gaining momentum is because of few common mistakes that I see a lot of people doing when they're just starting out. The number one thing is not mentioning your offer enough, not having enough calls to action, and really kind of coming off like a content creator who's just creating content for fun. This comes with kind of a, well, the reason I don't do that is because I don't want to come off salesy. And there are so many ways to not come off salesy in your content. And the number one way, I would say, is just to provide value. So instead of feeling like you're being salesy when you're telling somebody about your free resource, you have to first understand that you're providing value first. You're not giving them a blank sheet of paper in return for their email. No, you worked on something that comes from your years of experience, your life experience, and you're giving it to them because they don't know your life experience. They want to know what you know and that you can provide. So you providing a free resource to then have their email, to then send them emails of even more value where they could potentially pay for your offer, there is nothing salesy about that. You have to approach it like you are a value giver. You are giving value, and that is at its core what you are doing. This might help you when you're feeling like you're being too salesy in your mentions of your offer or calls to action. Another common mistake is not knowing exactly who this solution is for. You really have to step into the shoes of the person you are building this solution for. People want to feel like you are speaking right to them, and there's no doubt about it that your solution resonates with them the most. People buy from people, and when you understand that the more you can connect with your person and with the people you are providing this solution for through storytelling, through understanding their pain points, their problems from literally a first person speaking point of view, this is when you are going to get more connection and just more resonating people with your content and eventually with your offers. The last common mistake I see a lot of people making is that there's no strategy associated with the content you create as a business owner. This leads to burnout, okay? So when you have a strategy, you have guardrails. You literally have everything to create on top of that you've already set up for yourself. Especially if you learn from somebody like me, you are going to have the guardrails all set up for you. And the reason this matters is because you are not going to always want to create content, especially from scratch. So the more that you can prepare yourself for future content and for the content every month, right? Like creating content is like doing laundry. It's never going to end. But if you do it intentionally and you are leading people to things that you offer that's associated with the lifestyle and the goals you have for your business, this is all going to make sense, and there's going to be a energy and a motivation under everything that you do. So you have to build those guardrails. And I call those guardrails, but really it is your strategy. It is the complex weaving of how everything is going to work together with the problem and solution pillars, the buyer's journey, and your offer, essentially leading people to your offer through those mechanisms. So I want to leave you with this. Your one offer is your one solution, okay? So when I keep talking about problems and solutions, like what is the solution your business provides, your offer is the solution, essentially. I think that makes sense to most of you. But here's something that I do in my method that you might not be aware of. One solution equals endless content ideas. How is that? No matter what you provide the solution for, there are granular problems associated with that one solution. You basically have to think about the domino effect of what one problem has on somebody. So if your solution is associated with time, right? A lot of people offer things that make processes quicker and speedier and just more efficient. If that is part of your offer and your solution, you already have many granular problems that you could speak to. The reason being is because time is one of those things that a lot of humans lack, and a lot of humans also see as currency, a very important currency in their life. The reason being is because more time equals more life. And when you think about more life being a problem that your business holds the solution for, now you can frame it in a whole new way that adds even so much more value, even at this granular level. This might not even be speaking to the major problems that your offer holds the solution for. So when you think of the problem that your business solves, think deeper and deeper and deeper. If there is one major problem, which could be something like time, think about other problems associated with not having time. No time with friends, no time with family, no time for loved ones, no time for hobbies, no time for learning new things. There are so many things associated with time, and therefore you can frame your offer in many, many new ways just from understanding the granular problems. If you've made it all the way to the end of this video, I'm going to take a wild guess that you are interested in learning how to build a sustainable content strategy, a method to your madness of your business's current content ecosystem. If you're interested in learning about the things that I mentioned in this video, the problem and solution pillars, the buyer's journey, and how it really all creates this massive, most amazing content strategy that can last you years because it's sustainable and evergreen, I want you to check out this video on the screen here. I basically wrap up my one sustainable content strategy in this one video. So be sure to check that out. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you over there. Bye.